All right, welcome to the 68th episode of the Revolutionary Code, where we bring the truth about how governmental politics actually works in every facet of human existence and how that affects our people, Black people here in America, Africa, and the diaspora. I'm your host, Brother Tamani M. Wandani out of Houston, Texas. I am the founder of the Black Gold Nation movement, and our goal is to get our people on a track and the path by which we can build something and do something that matters. I am the direct revolutionary product of Albert B. Clegg Jr. and Cardinal and Bayou Chewy from the Shrines of the Black Madonna. My co-host, the chief consultant of the Black Gold Nation's National Political Strategy and Implementation Department, as well as our Adult Education Division, and the chairman of LACE, Liberation Advocates for Community Empowerment, the intellectual gangster, corporate grassroots revolutionary, and master domino assassin from Shreveport, Louisiana, aka The Boot, Brother Craig B. Lee. Brother Craig, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing irie and cold.
For real. All right. Amen. So before we get started, as always, as a reminder, what we're trying to do is not just talk, not just entertain, not just educate. We're trying to activate our people to do. Every single thing we do is about bringing our people together to find the right people. We're trying to educate you, the listener, the watcher, as to how this thing really works. But again, it's not just about the information. It's giving you the 1, 2, 3 step process by which you can involve yourself and or be involved in a movement that are trying to put these things in place. Fortunately for us, we're not starting at square one. We do have people out here that know what they're doing in multiple arenas, and we're trying to put that knowledge and that information to use. Tonight's show title is Tonight's show title is The Purpose, Planning, and Power of the Corporate Grassroots Revolutionary Team, laying the foundation for the future we want now. The Purpose, Planning, and Power of the Corporate Grassroots Revolutionary Team, laying the foundation for the future we want now. So on that note, first question, Brother Craig, we titled the show, and I think this may have been more you than me, The Revolutionary Code. How do you define revolutionary?
Revolutionary is the process of disrupting the norm and transforming status quo into a equitable situation for those who have been locked out. So disrupting the norm and establishing equity for those who have not had.
Amen. That's a good definition, brother. Okay, the revolutionary code. So what would that code be? What's the code that we're trying to get people to understand?
So that's the formula that we need to use in order to successfully disrupt the status quo, the system, and that particular process in a variety of different avenues that we need to implement, utilizing the 6 pillars of empowerment: the spiritual, the cultural, the educational, the economic, social, and the political. And it is not where, some people will say, there are a whole bunch of ways to skin a cat. Ain't a lot of ways to do this. The code is something that one has to, especially for those people who claim to be or striving to be or want to be, profess to be grassroots advocates, activists, or freedom fighters, revolutionary individuals. This is the process that you got to go through in order to do that.
Amen. Okay. So of all the Black people who have tried to move the Black needle forward as it relates to our overall empowerment and freedom, of all the people and the organizations who have tried, has any of them been true grassroots revolutionaries?
Yeah. I mean, basically, all of them, I would say, who have earnestly tried to move the needle, disrupt, ignite our folks, disrupt the system. I would say they've all been true. Remember, I attach the adjective corporate to my form of grassroots revolutionary, because there has to be an understanding of the business dynamic of how this goes from a for-profit and a nonprofit standpoint. And when you throw in the corporate component, only, Paul Cuff, for the most part, Garvey attempted to replicate what Paul Cuffey had done in the late 1700s, early 1800s. But he was unsuccessful in what he attempted to do. But Paul Cuff is, from the economic standpoint, the best example. And then you see Malcolm as a good example in terms of mobilization and organization, although he did that within the confines of a religious construct. But in terms of just straight up my brand of corporate grassroots revolutionary, that is the prototype that I'm actually creating. But no, I would tip my hat to all of them who came, the Malcolms, the Garveys, the Paul Cuffs, the Nat Turners, all those cats were grassroots revolutionaries.
Solid. I know you've thought about this. I'm not sure if you've actually made any sort of list, but I'd be shocked if you hadn't thought about this in your head. When you make your first movie, be it a documentary, docuseries, or whatever that first production that you put together, will it be of Paul Cuff, or will it be someone who is actually established and or built a municipality? Who will be that first person that you seek to make a movie about? Because when you gave me the details of how dynamic Paul Cuff was during that time, I mean, to be a Black man and build ships during that time, I mean, that's, brother, that's about that's probably more phenomenal than when we did the movie review of The Banker, two brothers buying banks doing Jim Crow. It's like we've really done some things that people don't even know about. So have you thought about what your first movie project is going to be? Because I know you're going to make a few.
That definitely, he would be the quintessential entity. Paul Cuff, and then CC Antoine, definitely from here in Louisiana, because CC Antoine was similar to Paul Cuff, just not as phenomenal in terms of his economic component, but he was in the ballpark. And so he embodied even more elements than Paul Cuffey, because CC had the cultural component down, he had the educational component down, the economic, the socioeconomic, and then his political was not about, as Paul Cuff was the architect, he and Richard Allen, of the Back to Africa movement. CC Antoine was about building those African-American towns that we're talking about. So with him being born here in Louisiana and laying the foundation, learning in New Orleans, and then migrating to Shrevetown in right after the Civil War, and then writing the charter legislation that incorporated the town of Shreve into the city of Shreveport, and then working as in his Masonic order with my great uncle Giles D. Moore Jr. I mean, all of those type of guys, and also all of the people who during Reconstruction started these Black townships.
Yep.
Yeah, Paul Cuff, C.C. Antoine, those architects, people like my uncle. I'm really gonna get deep into as we prepare on February the 1st this year to launch the first ever Emancipation Day here in Louisiana. We'll be doing this, and I'll be drafting legislation for Senator Greg Tarver, Senator Greg Barrow Peacock, State Representative Tammy Phelps, and State Representative Sam Jenkins to take the Baton Rouge this February, so that we'll be officially the first state to ever create a holiday celebration around our emancipation. As we told people about Juneteenth, as much as I respect Juneteenth and celebrate it, it is not a national celebration of emancipation for our people, because it really is a Texas and Louisiana thing. It's not a nationwide thing. And I'm really going to get into this Reconstruction period, because those 11 years were the greatest years for our people, even to this day. I mean, just nothing can rival that time frame from 1866 to 1877.
1866 to 1877.
1866 to 1877.
1877. Okay, cool. So once you get that legislation written and submitted, any idea what the timeline is before it can be adopted as a national holiday? If starting in the state.
Yeah, well, it'll be state. I mean, we're shooting for this year, so we'll start our own celebration. The first one will be recorded this year, but the legislation, we get that passed, it'll be officially on the books. And then we will start the process of galvanizing it to grow. Texas, you guys would be the next state that we seek to bring on board, and Nauru out in California, and Sister Shannon up in Colorado, because it's interesting. When I used to live in Atlanta, and people started to celebrate Juneteenth in Atlanta, I was like damn, Juneteenth is like a Texas, Louisiana.
Right.
But people there was never a celebration for our emancipation. And we can't say our freedom, because we still ain't goddamn free. Right. And say our independence, because we still ain't goddamn independent. But we were emancipated. But it wasn't because of the damn Emancipation Proclamation. It was because of the 13th Amendment. And we also know that particular legislation still had some trapdoors in it. But Juneteenth is just really it's a flawed celebration on multiple levels, because Lincoln never freed our ancestors, and that's one of the biggest lies that we perpetuated, just like Santa Claus and goddamn Peter Cottontail and whatnot. It never happened. It was a tactical maneuver for the North to win the war and whatnot. And if you were cool with the Union, hey, hell, you were allowed to still keep slaves. So our ancestors in slavery. So we got to clear this thing up, right, so that we can really get into this. And I take my hat off to former reporter for our editorial person for the USA Today, Dwayne Wickham, because Dwayne Wickham was the first person that I saw make the point of having an established holiday or a celebration, not even necessarily a holiday, but a celebration of our emancipation. He called it independence, but I'm a stickler on these words. But he was the first person that I saw, and that was back in 1993.
Yeah, is that a light-skinned brother?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, that's that period, especially in the state of Louisiana, man. And you had some serious brothers making some things happen, some major moves, and to see where we're at now, yeah, damn.
You know they turned over their graves, man. Right. So I'm gonna ask you this next question because it's on the list, and then I'm gonna ask a question that popped into my head because we had a conversation about it, I think, last week. So I'm assuming that other than is it Paul Cuff or Paul Cuffy? How do you pronounce his name? Cuffy. So other than Paul Cuffy, I'm assuming he had a corporate background.
No, he didn't have a corporate.
No, so he was just a skilled brother.
He acquired skills under the Quaker umbrella, but now he was straight up skilled tradesman, African / native Aboriginal brother who acquired the skills. But yeah, but no damn.
Okay, so none of the people I asked you previously, or any of our any people who tried to move the Black needle, were they true grassroots revolutionaries? You said yes, they were true grassroots revolutionaries. But I'm going to assume that if Paul Cuffy wasn't had a corporate background, then none of them, right, had a corporate background.
Oh yeah. Yeah, none of them. Yeah, none of them had any corporate. That's a concept that the creator. That's a concept, to money, the creator blessed me to come up with even before I ran across the documentary Plutocracy. And when we went through those 5 episodes of Plutocracy, to learn that the creator had guided me along this path of knowing that this is on paper a government of the people, for the people, by the people, but in all actuality, it's a government of corporations, for corporations, and by corporations. Right. For me to understand that before I even saw the documentary, that just really gave me the understanding that the creator was guiding me on the right path, and to get this, you gotta understand, plutocracy, oligarchy, aristocracy, and how these white folks operate. This has been a push to have people who have intellect not goddamn put in any real physical labor. And I'm telling you, it didn't start with white folks. It started with our people. And I started thinking, I say, where did this come from? And I figured it out. It was some of our goddamn ancestors. They were in the goddamn village.
Yeah.
And Umfufu now was running around just happy, having sex and bullshitting. And some of us, like me, Naru, you, Sister Shannon, we up here trying to figure out how to make the irrigation, the water system better and whatnot. But guess what? We had to do the same damn chores their ass had to do. And we're sitting up here thinking about astrology and science. And you know what? People's like, you know what? We got to create a different system, because we can't still be going and picking berries and fruits while they ain't doing nothing else. We came up with this. I'm trying to tell you, bro.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why should the intellectual cats have to do the same physical labor? Yeah. And so they figured a way to now flip it, where those entities who had the physical abilities, this is what y'all do. Those who had the intellectual, this is what we're gonna do. It started with us, and white folks just took it to a whole nother damn level.
Okay. I can't say it doesn't make sense. So I called you, was it Thursday? It may have been Thursday or Friday of last week. And I asked you about training young people to become corporate grassroots revolutionaries. I talked about after people, and Sister Shannon's one of them, she's one of two who's actually completed the basic member training. She's about to wrap that up, and I asked you about what should we start, what should I be focused on to get them on the right track to understanding the importance of being a corporate grassroots revolutionary, and then moving along those lines. And based on what you just said about CC Antoine, Paul Cuffey, Richard Allen, should that be a part of the curriculum for both the young people, the youth in the youth program 12 to 18, as well as people we're trying to develop to become ambassadors, learning more about those Black persons that we don't know about, that established towns, built cities. So that should be a part of it, right?
It got to be a part of it, because very few people, and I say this not to pat myself on the back or whatever, but very few people are going to be tied into this thing where your genetic and epigenetic connection to the Creator and the ancestors are such at such a level that even with you not knowing or being aware of these types of great iconic folks, that you're going to just automatically start doing this. That's just rare. And I remember before my grandmother died, I started doing some of the genealogy research. She had never told me about my great-great-grandfathers, Philip Moore. She had never mentioned Giles E. Moore. She probably didn't know. But before she died, she said, man, I wish you would have started doing this while some of the other relatives, your relatives were around. Well, I'm like, well, damn, you ain't never told me.
Right, that's on you.
So like, how the hell would I know?
Right.
So, but I was already in the game doing these things.
Yeah. As
a child, as a leader. And when I got to Xavier, I remember calling my great grandmother on my dad's side, and we just joked around one Saturday. I said, Mom, Alaska, I had to have been adopted. I mean, because
I'm different.
I'm just different than I mean, these Negroes don't ask no questions. They just go to work and don't say nothing. So I'm like, it's no way. And I said, well, I know I look like my mom and stuff like that. I said, but it's something different. I didn't know anything about Giles D. Moore. I didn't know about his connection with CC Antoine. I didn't know about my choice connection and all the great things they did in Texas. And I had no idea of this, but it was already in me. I'd really been connected on this spiritual path for a long time. So when I got to Xavier and had to study theology, philosophy, and ethics, it was easy for me to divorce myself from religiosity. It was it's like, oh, man, that's right. Boom, no more religiosity. And I've been on this path ever since. That is not going to happen for most people, most youth. So yeah, they gotta be connected with these types of physical icons so they can start to see that some of these things were going on. And in spite of all of the odds that were against them.
That's right. They did it anyway.
They did it.
They did it anyway.
And so and that's to say, you ain't. I started saying in a few of my posts, as some of our iconic folks die, even to this day, or some people who I know have done some great things, but people don't know about them, I'll give them a little tribute. And in closing, I always say, learn up and wake up, Black people. And then I say, I say, you know, what when it's all over, when it's all said and done, what will be your legacy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what will your legacy be?
Yeah.
You say, because you're only going to be on this path, this road for a small period of time.
Right.
What will your legacy be? What would people say about you,
Mm-hmm.
other than your ass went to work for white folks?
Right. Right.
And you got a retirement check. I mean, because this is really where most people believe this is their life.
Right. Right. So do you think your genetic makeup as relates to who, and I'll even say what you are, because you are most certainly different, you think that comes from more your father's side or your mother's side?
I would say in terms of the profound aspect from what I've found so far, my mom's side, the gangsterism, kind of like a blend, because both sides, you know, kind of gangsters, you know.
Yeah.
So, but damn sure my dad's side for real gangster.
Okay.
Hell, when I found out who my real grandfather was on my dad's side, because both my mother and dad had lied by not telling me. I thought, growing up, I thought my grandfather was a guy named Benjamin Miles on my mom's side. I was never told who my grandfather was on my dad's side. And so that's how, when I got to Xavier and I talked to my great grandmother on my dad's side, we started joking around, because I'm like, I can't be a Miles. I'm literally saying this, you know, beyond the slave name type thing. Spiritually, I can't be a Miles. They don't question anything. Yeah. And so that was in 1987. And so in 1996, when my mother asked me to talk to my cousin about not marrying this female, which I didn't want to get involved in the situation, but I promised her and my aunt, his mom, that I would. And my cousin and I met, and man, my cousin was like, man, I don't know why your mom is in my business. Daddy being ain't even her daddy. And I'm like,
what?
And I was too embarrassed to ask him about it, because he said it like I'm supposed to know.
Right.
And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
So the next year, 97, is when I asked my mom, I say, Mom, I said, Lamar said that Daddy Ben ain't your daddy. She said, So I was like, you ain't never told me nothing like that. So I'm like, who is my father?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get into it.
What? That's my father.
Now that's her father. That was
her father. Okay. Yeah, your grandfather.
And so this is how I learned about some kind of way. My grandmother and I weren't talking at that moment. So I called her sister and I said, Aunt Ethel, do you know who my grandfather is? And she said, Craig, I forgot your granddaddy's name. But she said, your great granddaddy is old man Winston Choice. She said, boy, you a choice. Your people educated, they in politics, they
there, and it clicked.
And then it clicked. I was like, and then when you now find out about Giles D. Moore created this black town, and he was a follower. He was a member of what? UNIA.
UNIA, yeah. So I asked you that because you have two siblings, right?
Yeah, I got one with my mom and one with my dad. Yeah.
And the one with your dad is your brother.
Yeah.
And your mother's your sister. And they are not like you as relates to how you operate, how you flow.
No.
Yeah. So I'm asking all of that to get back to something you said. You said because of your genetic and epigenetic connections.
Yeah.
Most people know what you mean by genetic, but most people may not know what epigenetic means. What do you mean by epigenetic?
So the epigenetic component of your makeup is that's really more of the spiritual component of your being that you get from your ancestors in terms of experiences that some of them have had, that's passed on in your DNA as well.
Okay.
So DNA is physical and it is non-physical, and the non-physical part is the epigenetic that exists.
Okay.
And I call it cultural transmission.
Okay.
Cultural transmission is it's in you. You just don't know it in most instances. And so that's what the epigenetic, those experiences, that's really why, if we were to really sit and think about this homosexual thing, I really do believe that that's where some of this negative energy of homosexuality has kind of engulfed some of these entities where they really believe that they're born this way.
Yeah.
Because there's you got positive spirits and you got negative spirits.
Yeah.
And I do believe, as a byproduct of understanding buck breaking, the raping and of not only our females but male bodies, demented ass, psychotic ass white folks, that some of those evil spirits have been embedded in some of our folks. So you can pass on good spirits and
bad spirits
and bad spirits.
So why do you think siblings who have the same mother and father may not necessarily operate the same way if they got the same genes, so to speak? Why do you think that is? And all of this is about, the tonight's topic. So why do you think that is?
The creator and the epigenetic component.
Yeah.
The creator and the ancestors.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's powerful. It's a hell of a conversation.
So my sister and I, same mother, different father. My brother and I, same father, different mother. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now I know entities who have same mother, same father, and I mean, you take Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
I don't know about the oldest one, the one Martin III. Really know that's his child, but I'm gonna be honest with you, because he don't really look like Martin.
Right.
Because the other three,
they look just like him. Yeah.
They look just like him.
They look just like him. Yeah.
Especially Dexter. But ain't none of them got nothing really in them reflective, especially Dexter. But and having met Betty Shabazz in 1993, I kind of get the whole, you got all these females, children, but none of them really, are out there. And the grandson was supposed to be that entity, but because they babied him and messed him up, now he gone, taken out because he don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
That's a creator thing and an ancestor thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those mysteries that you can't believe in.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it has to be, a universal mystery, because if the ancestors, if the creator, if the universe, the cosmos, if this infinite intelligence knows that our people need certain things, then why only give it to one child when several children have been produced by the same two adults? That's very, very interesting that it works out that way, but it does. I'm the youngest of five, and my brothers are not like me. At all.
And you can look at you take Muhammad Ali and his brother, same mother and father. Two totally different examples.
Amen.
Results. And so when you really think about it, it would have to be creator and ancestors, working within the mix. And everybody ain't gonna get the same thing. You look at Michael Jordan and same mother and father, his brothers, they were better than him coming up.
Yep.
But somewhere along the goddamn way, you know, a super dude was in him, you know.
Yeah,
You
okay.
you can go throughout and look at all of that.
Yeah.
And you can see, you can look at Prince and his siblings. His dad is right out of Homer, Louisiana, goes up to the West Coast, get with old girl. He has siblings, same parents, different goddamn result.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to these questions. So we kind of went off a bit, although all of it's connected. Yeah.
We're still on the same page.
Tonight's show, the topic is the purpose, planning, and power of the corporate grassroots revolutionary team, laying the foundation for the future we want now. So, Brother Craig, why is a corporate background so important?
Because again, the corporations run this construct, this matrix, not only in America, but throughout the world. So if you don't understand it, I mean, all you'll be doing is just talking rhetoric, man. You'll just be goddamn whistling Dixie, man. You'll never get this, man. You'll be saying stuff that, I mean, you just.
All right. So definitively speaking, what is a corporate grassroots revolutionary?
This is a person who is about the business of his people, who operates at the base level with the people who are the have-nots, the people who are the ones who are most oppressed and most damaged by the matrix. And again, the revolutionary's job is to disrupt the flow of the norm of the matrix, the system, where these individuals can now start to appreciate certain elements to improve their quality of life. So the corporations hold the key to that. So this is a person who now comprehends how to maneuver at the grassroots level with the lowest of the low to disrupt through a process of maneuvering for-profit and nonprofit corporate business, so that his people can be, or her people can be, taken care of as a collective.
We had a conversation about this before. I think it was episode 60, no, 50, when we talked about the blueprint for becoming a corporate grassroots revolutionary. And I asked you then, I'm gonna ask you again now. You stated in that interview, I think I came to the conclusion that you, because this is something that you created, based on your understanding, your experience, understanding history, what's required to move forward, you created the concept, the idea of a corporate grassroots revolutionary. And I asked you if you were the only one, and you said, yeah, would have to be, I'm the only one. So I'm assuming you still believe that you're the only one, correct?
I have run across entities who have elements, solid elements, like my partner, Clint Walden. We met in 1996. He's from Atlantic City, New Jersey. And Clint is probably the closest that I've run into, but Clint doesn't have a corporate background, but he understands corporate. He knows how to interface with corporate, but his background is in municipal government. And he's been, over the years, learning to figure out the entrepreneurial side. But he's pretty much been the governmental cat. He's about as close as I've seen to me. Clinton's about 9-10 years older than I am, but he's about as close as I've met.
Okay. So if you're the only one that has all of the elements that needed to that elements that are needed to become a corporate grassroots revolutionary, if you're the only one, how do you go about assembling a team of corporate grassroots revolutionaries?
Creating the prototype in Shreveport, Louisiana. And that's why I told you, see, so for me to attract the talent to teach them how to do this, I have to create the physical prototype to attract the talent. That's why I'm in Shreveport. Other than that, hell, I would just do what other people do and just go personally make money and, stay in Atlanta, New Orleans, or whatever. So I've gone through this struggle purposefully to help me understand how to learn how to do this, and simultaneously, as I leverage the money, status, and materialism, and make the things happen here in the city of Shreveport, then we create a remigration of talent south, in particular here, and connecting with you and others in Texas. We now take over these Black townships. Yep. That's how we begin to attract potential talent, and then reconnecting with some of my classmates from Xavier, other HBCUs, and partnershiping with folks like Dr. Kevin Washington at Grambling State University and other places, because with me, I'm making millions of dollars or billions of dollars. Again, 80% of my money is reinvested in the community to create and foster these relationships. I don't know if, it's a combination of having some grit and some serious grind, combined with the creating the ancestors' blessings to go through the struggle that I've gone through the past 26 years. I don't know a lot of people who would sacrifice what I've sacrificed. I was 24 as my last corporate gig with Astra Pharmaceuticals. I don't know too many people leave a $70,000 job. Yeah. Age of 24 years old in 1995. And your mama looking at you like, nigga, what is you?
Are you crazy?
You got a company car, you got a corporate American Express. So I've been willing to listen to the creating the ancestors for a long time. Yeah. And I've embraced that struggle. And that's why for me, no matter whatever the obstacle course is, I just embrace it and maneuver and rock and roll with it. Once the creator through the curveball back in 2013 with gray zone lymphoma, I'm like, okay, and I knew I wasn't gonna die. The creator just like, hey, just a check engine light.
Slow down a little bit.
Get yourself together. Yeah. You got some things you gotta accomplish. So, but that's how I would go about doing it. Leveraging the money, status, and materialism through the projects, programs, business ventures that I have, leveraging the political positions, building a team here, not necessarily of other on the front end corporate grassroots revolutionaries, but people who want to see some Black empowerment. Yeah. And out of that, we begin to cipher off and then cultivate young folks to really grow. And I told you last week when you asked that question, we have to think about this like Charles Xavier and the X-Men.
That's right. Yep.
Because that's pretty much
yes, sir.
What we're talking about. Yep. Cultivating those type of young folks.
Yeah. So you just said something, and I don't know if I've ever heard you say this before, and I've heard you say a bunch of stuff. You said, I've gone through this struggle purposely.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know what you were getting into?
To some degree, but not the depths. No.
What has been the most eye-opening thing as it relates to this journey that you purposely stepped onto or into?
that these goddamn Negroes ain't serious about no damn revolution. that these Negroes that Negroes with money ain't gonna put no money up behind intellectual property. They're not gonna back anybody like Brother Naru, like me, like you. They're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
They talk, and they talk, and they're not gonna do it. And that's been I really thought when I left corporate America with my background and Xavier University, and I did all this stuff, I'm like, shit, I'm coming back to help my people. Man, them Negroes don't give a damn about that shit. Man, them Negroes like, God damn. And so that was the biggest shock.
Yeah, that was an eye opener.
And then the second biggest shock was to find, like, one of my teachers from high school, Joe Shine, who was the second city councilman in the history of Shreveport for District F. You know, I'm thinking, like, these people really care about Black folks, and then so I'm working with them, and then to see that they on the tapes.
Yeah.
God.
Now, up to that point, I'm assuming, because of what you just said, I'm assuming you had not, or you were still developing the 6 factions.
Yeah, I was still developing the 6 factions.
So as you were going through life on this path, you started to realize, oh, this person is in this category. This person is in this category.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, had I stayed in Atlanta, I would have never been able to develop the six factions of African descendants. It would, because I was on the fast track, and I would have bypassed all of the obstacles. See, it's through the obstacles that I've been able to develop all of these things.
Yeah.
That's what is, like they say, struggle is the mother of all inventions.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I've been able to develop these things. So I've submitted myself to the struggle, and the more that I submitted myself to the struggle, the more the Creator taught me. So some of these things, a lot of this is advanced graduate level grassroots studies that only a person who is willing to submit himself to dying for his people, you would be able to get. I wouldn't even be able to write a book to express these things. You would have to submit yourself to being willing to do what Martin Luther King talked about, where he said, if a man is not willing to die for something, he ain't fit to live. I just asked myself in 1995, when the Creator said, you leaving corporate America, what are you willing to die for? Yeah. And I said, I'm willing to die for the same thing that my phenomenal ancestors, the freedom fighters, were willing to die for: the liberation, upliftment, and advancement of my people. And I made that because I'm like, Negroes die for tennis shoes, they die for punani, they die for money, they die for all this bullshit. What am I willing to die for? Mm-hmm. So my constitution and my code of ethics in this game is way different than, most people. And one of my classmates said yesterday, he said, Craig, I tell him all the time, Craig will never get caught up in no corruption, because he said he like his freedom too much, because he like to just be able to go to Walmart at 1 a.m. and just look around.
Right.
You goddamn right, partner. Sometimes I just go look around, pick up something, and don't even buy it.
Right.
You can't do that when your ass is in jail.
Yeah, there are a few things you can't do. That's one of them. So this team you were assembling to totally reconstruct the mechanisms and levers that run Shreveport, Louisiana. How important is that team that you're putting together?
Shit, it's everything. I mean, and and the only way you can do it is like that old commercial from E.F. Hutton.
Right.
1 investor at a time, goddamn it. You ain't doing this. You can't do this mass recruitment. With Naru being in California, the mass recruitment that the Panthers made, and hell no, can't do that, bro. Can't do that, because it allows for too many agent provocateurs, too many sidewinders and slackers to get in. And so you got to do this one entity at a time. And like I said, there is no book on this.
Right.
As I was reading Martin Luther King's Why We Can't Wait,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm reading this stuff, and I'm like, damn, I'm living what he writing about. And so Malcolm, and you got to think about, these cats were
young.
Something.
Yeah.
And here Malcolm and King all assassinated at 39. You know what I'm saying? So it's the E.F. Hutton approach. And the other thing too, Tamani, you have to offer yourself. See, a lot of people try to avoid the pimp game, avoid being screwed over. See, I embrace that. I'm from the hood. I ain't never been no street dude. I ain't never sold dope. I ain't never been in no gang. But these cats give me my respect because I could defend myself. I wasn't a bully. And they weren't going to coerce me into not getting involved, because I respected my mother and them too much. But you have to be willing to be connected to the streets. You have to be willing to be connected to these evil, demonic ass people, because if you are not exposed to the hustle, to the game, you'll never be able to really help the folks navigate the toxic waters, because most of the hustles will take people out. Yeah. But the creators allowed me to be able to embrace it and maneuver.
Perfect segue to the next question. Why must the corporate grassroots revolutionary understand the us, our, we thinking as opposed to I, my, me?
Yeah, because this is a team. This is a team competition. This ain't no individual thing. And so the us, our, we has to be embedded versus I, my, me.
Yeah.
You cannot win in this. If you're operating as an I, my, me person, you're going to mess over a lot of people, because there is no such thing as a self-made man. There's no such thing as a self-made woman. A lot of people help you along your journey. And if you don't want to recognize them, then that means you're trash. Yeah. Even if you forget who they are, you must always acknowledge, though, that there have been people that you have forgotten.
Yeah.
Help you along the way. Elementary teachers, junior high school, there's so many damn people. So this is the only way that you can win at this game for your people, is to look at it from an us, our, we standpoint.
Dig it. This next question is a perfect reason as to why we all need to show up, pay attention, and if we can't make it, watch the recording of the movie reviews, because we just did The Godfather this past Saturday. Absolutely phenomenal movie, awesome review, and we talked about. I think we may have commented on this repeatedly, the importance of having the right team, because Michael Corleone, The Godfather, they had a good team, and that team brought different facets and aspects and components to what they were trying to do via their culture, and especially Michael trying to get away from doing certain things and moving, more legitimate into Vegas. So give us some of the key components to the right corporate grassroots team. What areas must you have covered if you're going to maneuver as you are in Shreveport, Louisiana? What kind of areas do we need to be covering and looking for?
So again, we live in a multidimensional reality. So positive, negative, positive. So whatever is going on in the negative, evil side of the matrix, we must parallel that with the positive. So you got to have people in finance. You got to have people who can handle grassroots advocacy lobbying. You got to have people who are think tank folks. You got to have people who know how to produce and manufacture. You got to have vocational folks. You see what I'm saying? You got everything that they got on the negative side to build up the infrastructure to keep everybody oppressed. We got to have same thing in order to free.
Right.
So you got to have people that know how to run financial institutions, because they got people who run financial institutions.
Right.
You got to have people who know how to goddamn grow food, because they got people who know how to grow food. You see?
Yeah.
So it's a parallel.
It's a direct parallel. Yeah.
It's a direct parallel.
Yeah. So I know none about.
You got to have gangsters. Since they got gangsters, you got to have gangsters.
You got to have hitters. Otherwise, you're gonna get hit. because you are going to get hit.
Oh yeah, you're gonna.
And you know, I wouldn't even say respond in kind. I say you got to respond with extreme prejudice to let them know it ain't one for one. Goddamn it.
The craziest thing about most righteous grassroots revolutionary type people, you know, because even with the Panthers, man, they was just, man, they weren't serious about that shit, man. And they weren't, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, all that rhetoric and all that goddamn talking. You had some cats who would sporadically go and pow, 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 pow. You know, they weren't about that life. But every ethnic group has an underworld.
Sure.
The righteous components have to have a hidden hand.
Yep.
That can put people in check.
That's right.
And that goes from Negroes on up to the real enemy. And other than the deacons for defense, you know, I mean, they was about that life.
Yeah.
Other than the deacons for defense, which the Panthers kind of copied after, you ain't really had, and you know, they operated with a hidden hand and they disbanded, but you got to have that kind of component.
That's right. That's right. So have any of our revolutionary movements come close? Not that's not a good way to say it. So what revolutionary movements and or organizations have come the closest to having that kind of team? I know no one ever did it completely, but who's come the closest? I know that's tough.
I guess you can kind of sort of say the Nation of Islam, kind of sort of, you know, I guess kind of sort of, you know, the Panthers kind of sort of, I mean, the Panthers is pretty much, because they weren't based on religiosity. So if we have to say straight up grassroots revolution, politics, but their political leanings were. I know, but you asked me as close.
That's close. Yeah.
You asked me about close.
I did say close.
I know they had their flaws.
Yeah.
But they are pretty much. I don't know of another grassroots entity that had as close as they would get. Because you got to understand now, the Panthers gave America the free health clinics concept. They gave America the free lunch, free breakfast, free lunch concept. Yep. So, you know, the socialism components, but they were talking the political game. They just was fucked up on the concept that they had to roll, but they were in the mix.
Yeah.
See, and then they had some self-defense components, although they were really, you know, playing and bullshitting. But they were really about putting a foot in their own people's ass, but they weren't gonna do that.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, so they were as close as you can get. I'm quite sure Mike would say that Melina Karanga's Us group probably would say they were, but they really weren't. And that's where they had their beef. Ended up having their shootout at UCLA. Yeah. But they probably Black Panther Party is as close grassroots.
Okay. All right. We're gonna play a bit of a fantasy game. So if you had a magic wand and you could assemble a team of people who have put in work to move Black people forward, from the C.C. Antoines to the Paul Cuffey and Richard Allens, Malcolm X. If you could assemble a team to bring the expertise to the table of people who've gone past, to give us an idea of what that would look like, who would be on that team and what element would they bring and or represent?
Well, definitely everybody that I've already announced. I would even have on the team Martin Luther King.
Okay. What element?
Though he was not grassroots, I would have him as the good cop, agitator, grassroots agitator, good cop. Malcolm, of course, the counter to that. But all of those entities would be interwoven into the fabric. I would use Dr. Francis Cress Wells and Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, all of our scholars to do all of the research, study analysis for within the 6 pillars of empowerment to bring the scholarship to the table. That would be their role. They would be think tank components. I would have individuals who were military trained, similar to what the Black Panther Party was trying to do, to roll on the defense. For damn sure, Nat Turner would probably lead that particular end. The institutional construct of building structures and understanding Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, Mary McLeod Bethune, Harriet Tubman would definitely be on the revolutionary military side with Nat Turner. So I would fit, and of course the economic side, Paul Cuff and John Johnson from Johnson Publishing, some of our other iconic engineering folks. So I would utilize all of these entities, even if they were not for real deal grassroots, because even if they are like a bourgeoisie type cat and expertise, there's a place for them.
Yep.
You know, I don't do all of the social events and the Divine Nine stuff and the Mardi Gras balls, but there's a place for that.
Yeah.
You know? People want to do that, and I have no issue with it. As long as you put in your goddamn work, you go and go do your religious thing, go do your social thing, and then we can all coalesce to rocking and rolling. And hey, maybe one day I come eat some goddamn barbecue chicken with you at your damn church or something like that. So, but I realize all of them.
Where would you put John Brown?
John Brown would be on because remember, my political philosophy of culturalism connects the dots to natives, Latinos, Asian, Middle Eastern, and Caucasian. So John Brown would be the damn international leader for the pink toad. It would be.
All right. So what and as a reminder, the title of tonight's show is The Purpose, Planning, and Power of the Corporate Grassroots Revolutionary Team, laying the foundation for the future we want now. So next question, Brother Craig, is what can the right corporate grassroots revolutionary team accomplish? What's the goal?
Taking over land masses, whether it be villages, towns, small cities, mid-sized cities, and establishing the prototype of empowerment, grassroots empowerment, and connecting with other entities throughout that state and other states, so we can stitch this fabric, this quilt together that will cover grassroots people and finally get them to understand what this whole thing is about. we have a very difficult journey because you can't legislate ethics, you can't legislate morality, you can't legislate learning for so-called adults. You can't not legislate empowerment. You cannot legislate courage. See, you can't legislate all of the things that you need to get your punk ass up. You can't legislate critical thinking. You can't legislate none of that.
It'd be nice if you could.
So you got to take these goddamn the few, the ready, willing, and committed. So I'm not worried about the masses. So the naysayers, when they say, "Oh, Craig, you can't," "Oh, Craig, shut the hell up," because you're forever and a day.
Yeah.
And that's why I always go back to that damn clip in the movie Troy, when Brad Pitt playing the role of Achilles, summoned to come fight the goddamn giant.
Yeah.
And the little boy who the king sends to go summon Achilles, "Oh, yeah, I wouldn't want to fight him. He's big." And goddamn Brad Pitt, Achilles looked at him. That's why history will never
be remembered.
Your punk ass little, your ass ain't gonna never elevate because you're too scared to fight. And that's where we're at. We have to be willing to seize the day.
Yeah. You're
gonna die any goddamn way.
That's right.
Die doing something admirable.
Right.
Die doing something for us, our we, versus I, my, me, so that you can now set your legacy, if you're really about that life, on the right course. And now with all of the social media, man, you got to be real laser focused.
Yep.
To tune all of this negativity out, because it's coming 24/7, 360 degrees swirling.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to distract the majority of folks. Those of us who are about that life, we got to be laser focused.
Yeah. So what makes you so confident that this team can lay that kind of foundation and put us on the path to really being empowered and free? What makes you so confident that this is going to work?
Because I've been rolling with the Creator before I was born. The Creator then gave me the blueprint.
Yeah.
Ancestors have been guiding me, and they ain't let me down yet. And like I say, I've been rolling since gray zone lymphoma for the past 9 years this year. And I know folks that's up out of here.
That's right.
And so I just stay the course, what the Creator's guided me on, and really what they say, with Michael Jordan and LeBron James, and when you are a professional athlete, they say after your rookie year, the game slows down, and kind of like with Neo, he didn't have to be running. He just knocking out. That really happens.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at now. I don't get, bruh, I ain't gonna say I don't get angry at these savages and these sellout Negroes, but I'm so calm and collected now. I understand it's part of the game.
Yeah.
I no longer like, why can't we just all, no. That's their role.
Yeah. To
be a distraction.
Yeah.
That's their role to be a savage. We put our thing together, and trust me, you think they fear the Crips and the Bloods. Put our thing together.
Oh, no doubt.
Tremble.
Yeah.
They'll tremble.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be quite honest with you, after one or two examples, they'll leave, so it won't be an issue.
Oh yeah.
Because they'll know that it's a new day, so to speak. So, final question, brother. You get one takeaway from tonight's show, from what we've discussed, that you can give people to have with them for the rest of their lives. One thing from tonight's show that everybody can have with them for the rest of their lives that we've discussed. What would that one thing be?
A corporate grassroots revolutionary is a hybrid individual who loves his people, but who also understands in the game that we're in, you have to leverage money, status, and materialism in order to help your people. And a true corporate grassroots revolutionary is one that's about the business of the liberation, empowerment, and advancement of his and her people, and setting this baton in place. President Benjamin E. Mays, former president of Morehouse College, said it best: "He who starts behind in the great race of life must forever remain behind or run faster than the man in front." Mm-hmm. We started behind, we've been behind. And so when you get your leg of the race, you got to run this race fast. And you got to pass this baton on. So those would be the things that I would leave from tonight's discussion.
And I would like to add, before you start running, please study and understand the race. Otherwise, you'll be running the wrong way. Exactly. Don't run across the field, run around the corner. Exactly. Cruise them curves and run them straights. Exactly. All right, so on that note, we're gonna open this thing up for questions and comments. So does anybody have a question? There we go. Brother Naru, ready to roll. Okay, Brother Naru, it's on you.
Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight?
What's up, brother?
You know, I'm repping the Dubs tonight. You know, I
see you.
I don't know nothing about no LeBron James and Steph Curry on this side, but hey, Brother Craig, this is serious though. Who are you identifying and training to do some of the things that you are doing? I feel it's very important that you pass on this genius knowledge you have to do further generations, brother. So we need you to write all this down. These videos are great, and this information, you know, just in case something happened to you, and we pray that it doesn't. Mm-hmm. We got to get you to pass this down to some of these youth out here.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Naru. I started a few years back with my stepson. He didn't make it through empowerment boot camp. Unfortunately, I had to send him back home.
Wait, is that the young brother that was doing the project that time? Right. Oh man, I had great hopes for him, man.
Make it through empowerment boot camp. As a matter of fact, I sent him home second semester into his freshman year, and you know, I remember right before I sent him home, one little argument, he bucked and he said, "You don't treat me like a son. You treat me like I'm in boot camp." I said, "Nigga, I told you that to begin with. This ain't Disneyland." And so he got sidetracked, but what you said is right on point. So the Creator has given me the opportunity to find these diamonds in the rough through Dads on Duty. Brothers, I couldn't have asked for a better script to be written. And we got some infrastructural things that we got to rock and roll. You're going to play a role in this with the whole hip hop programming that we'll integrate in this, but it'll come from these youth, and not only at the high school level, because our plan is to disrupt the toxic environment of these children along our supply chain, elementary, junior high, high school. So we'll have a pool of candidates. Now, for the first time, as now I'm getting ready to launch my campaign next month for city council, and I'm about to get back on the speaking circuit, because Naru, I'm just be honest with you, I'm probably the most, how would I say this, introverted, popular person in Shreveport. I don't really, some of my partners tried to get me to do CDs and tapes and stuff back in the day. Well, of course I can't do that. I can't put all my plans on paper for everybody, but I know that there's a need, and working with Tamani, I told him, man, I've had this stuff for hell over 2 decades. Finally, through dealing with him, I was forced to start writing it down, you know, defining everything. I'm like, God damn, you know. So that's coming, and it's gonna really come. I got to dedicate myself to writing articles. Man, people have the black newspaper. We got the oldest black newspaper in the state, Shreveport Sun. They've been wanting me to write. People wanted me to do TV shows, radio shows. I just had not done that because it's like, whew, I got to find the team, one person at a time. But now I'm inspired because I bumped into some good people. My nephew and his wife, they're doing some great things here. We got some other folks. And now for the first time, this is my 4th time running for office. And this is really my first time really running, where I'm about to raise the money and put the team together, leverage all the things that I need to do, because to try to balance it all is a lot, you know? And so, yes, it's going to be passed down. Some of these young people I'm rocking with, some of the young people I'll connect with at Grambling, at Wiley, at Xavier, because now as I get on the circuit to close out my life, because this will be 55 years for me, as I now integrate what I'm doing in Shreveport, Dad's on duty with my HBCU agenda, I'll find the people, the young people, some of the older folks, and now we cultivate, put things in binders, and so they'll be able to tap in. And again, I'll be able to show the prototype, the physical reality of what we're doing in Shreveport, so they'll be able to tap in.
Thank you very much, young man.
And Brother Naru, these questions I asked Craig aren't just questions. He might not know this, and other people may not know this, but I ask these questions for a reason. Everything he gives an answer to, don't think I'm not going to do it. Don't think it's not being added to. We have a BGM body of knowledge. This brother's stuff is in that body of knowledge. So it is written down. What he says, these recordings are a part of history, and they are a part of what we must do. So when I refer to an episode as far as, how do you become a grassroots corporate revolutionary? We did a show called The Blueprint. You don't think I'm gonna do that? So it's not just about him, because my thinking is, if he gets hit by an ice cream truck tomorrow and he ain't here, what then? Someone has to keep it going, and I don't have to say, oh shit, because he's talked enough from these shows, from the movie reviews, man, everything he says, and we don't agree on everything, but everything he says that can fit into my paradigm of understanding and existence, I add to. And in the body of knowledge, there's a statement that I wrote that said, we reserve the right to borrow, to change, to use, because we're trying to be free. So if something happens to him, God forbid, man, we keep moving because he's given us enough. So I'm not asking these questions just for me or to take up an hour. Shit, man, I'm trying to be free, and he has a flashlight.
and you know what else too, Naru and Tamani, and Mike can tell you this, it's a blessing to have attended Xavier University with some of the greatest minds in the world. And not only the institution of Xavier, but Xavier being in New Orleans, that whole cultural deal. You get a chance to watch Tariq Nasheed's 1804, and you see the connection between Haiti and New Orleans, that whole dynamic. That period impacted me so greatly, to bring out all of this stuff that was there, that Shreveport and my maternal and paternal side helped to create. In 1995, when I left corporate, and one of my good partners, Paul Lawrence, he's deceased, he would come to my workshops. I used to do free workshops. I called them MOVE, Motivated Our Voices Exponentially, moving the unconscious mind to consciousness from perception to reality. I started this in 1995. So I started doing a parallel with some of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, my 6 pillars of empowerment, and my corporate stuff. I would do this free every Wednesday. And Paul Lawrence came and he's like, man, you could be like Les Brown. We can go on the road. And I say, nah, brother, I'm not here to be, because when people would say you're a motivational speaker, I say there's no such thing as a motivational speaker. I say Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, they can't motivate you. They can stimulate you. They can stimulate you, but only you can motivate yourself through the creator and the ancestors. So I started looking at this from a framework of how is it that people who listen to Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, all these entities, okay, they listen, they buy the books, they do all this goddamn shit. And they go right back to doing the same goddamn thing the next week. That's when it hit me like, no. My job is to help build the infrastructure of empowerment to show you how to tap in to move your mind from unenlightenment unconsciousness to enlightenment consciousness. I've even gotten to the point of saying consciousness is the apex of enlightenment. Because I got so tired of hearing I'm conscious. Like, no, Negro, you ain't conscious. There are 3 levels to the enlightenment process: being aware, being awake, and being conscious. Most people are just aware. They done heard a Farrakhan speech. They done heard some goddamn shit on YouTube, whatever. So they're aware. Assalamu alaikum. You eat pork? I'm vegan. All this bullshit, right? So they're aware.
I don't know. I don't know why you put vegan in there.
No, because this is what, everybody wants to say, whatever. These are catchphrases. I know y'all are real. You know what I'm saying? My partner, brother Clint, is real. But that's a goddamn fad that Negroes, like to tap into. Just like the Assalamu alaikum thing. Okay, you punk ass and went to jail, so you learn Assalamu alaikum. And then they always—
that's usually how it works.
And so they always assume because they see me with the crown, I'm Muslim.
Right.
I ain't Muslim, but I say, well, alaikum salam.
That's
okay. Right. Now, what work you gonna do, nigga? You ain't gonna do no work, because guess what? You just aware. So now, a little bit, few more people will become awake. They now start to do, and I figured the term out, brother Tamani. God damn it, I figured it out. Because Naru, it has bothered me. It has perplexed my mind for all these Negroes who believe that they are doing work. And I wrestle with that term when I see Negroes giving out water and giving out goddamn backpacks. And it's hard for me to call that work, but I had to finally yield that term because it's physical activity, whoop de whoop. But God damn it, I knew how to classify it now. To money, I call it codependency, good deed work. Versus empowerment work.
It is codependency, for sure.
Codependency, for sure. Good deed work.
Yes, sir.
Because all your punk ass is doing is creating codependency with the people you claim you want to help advance. Because if they're not being taught how to liberate, empower, and advance themselves, you ain't really helping them. But I'm going to yield the term work because you are doing some physical energy. You are putting something, but what you're doing is codependency, enabling good deed work. Empowerment work is what I do.
Yeah.
Empowerment work is what we have to do.
Yeah.
Because giving people pork chop sandwiches and goddamn backpacks and all of this foolishness is not going to help them. In an emergency situation, I get it. But if you don't teach a man, a male or female, how to fish, I mean, the next day when you in a new town, what are they gonna do? They're gonna be looking for somebody else to be codependent.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's sad about that, Craig, is that when you pointed out to people who do that, they get mad at you.
Hell yeah.
When you say you're just treating the symptom, let's go after the problem so you don't have to do this, they get mad at you.
And you know why they get mad? Because their codependency enabling good deed work is how they validate themselves.
I was thinking that's how they see themselves. Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
So for you to now tell the truth about what they're really doing, which is really nothing, they now will feel some kind of way because they don't know how to do this empowerment thing. And they don't want to learn how to do that because guess what? It takes goddamn time.
And that's work.
And that's work.
And that's real work.
That's real work.
Yeah, I had a young brother get mad at me. I was trying to get him to do something. He said, man, I got some chicken soup on the stove and we about to go feed the homeless and talk to them about political power, something crazy. I'm like, but it ain't gonna work. They're gonna take your soup, they're gonna nod their head, and they're not gonna do the work. It takes more. So I was trying to get him to help us do, I think was it with the youth program? It was something. He got mad, man. I hadn't seen him since.
and I'm so glad that Mike is on the phone because Mike's background is social work. And Mike and I have had a few conversations about this, but I got on our colleague, Melissa Haley, about this more. And it is that social work component of yielding to these individuals who are have basically tapped out of this game. And everything is about trying to give them. But if you don't empower them, they will always be a burden on society. And the creator, I can assure, I want you to think about this now. Naru, my former business partner said, Israel Shadea, Brother Craig, if you want to get to know the creator, study nature. Brother Naru, what happens to a little bird when the goddamn mama bird dropped their ass out the nest and they can't fly?
Can't fly, you die.
Exactly, brother.
You're eaten by something.
You can't fly, you die.
That's right.
Did you hear that, Brother Mike? You can't fly, you die. And so-called humans believe if they just keep on, baby, come on, get up. Let's fly again. Let's fly again. Come on, baby, let's fly. You ain't helping them. You're making them codependent. You're enabling them, okay? There's a point where the umbilical cord has to be cut. Unless they are special needs, for real. I ain't talking about no goddamn crazy checks perpetrating on Ritalin and all this bullshit. Unless they are special needs, unless they're a child who can't do for themselves, unless they are an elderly person who done logged in their time. Negro, you got to get, what's the song by Goody Mob? You got to get up, get out, and get something. Don't let the world pass you by. You got to get up, get out, and get something. How could you make it if you never even try?
And you know what's sad about that is that if the bird is black, it's going to plead with the cat not to eat it because that ain't right.
Don't eat me, Mr. Cat. Don't eat me. Don't do your job. Don't do what you've been programmed to do.
Right. Don't be you. Do the right thing. All right. Brother Mike has had his hand up for a minute. Brother Mike.
Come on, Brother Mike.
Brother Mike going once. Brother Mike going twice.
Brother Mike, unmute yourself.
All right, Sister Shannon, while he finds his mute button, go ahead.
Okay, so Brother Craig, thank you for all of the information. Everything you said on here, it literally almost brought me to tears because I'm kind of on that pathway, you know, as far as my genealogy and all of that stuff. But I can totally understand you. My wake-up call started when I was in college. But in one of the revolutionary codes, you kind of talked about the melanated savage Negro.
Mm-hmm.
And then on this one, you talked about our undermarket, which, yes, we have that. How do you get to those men or women that are savages, but intellectual? And I'm only saying that because I know a few.
There you go.
And how do you get them to
I'm with you.
know what they need to do on that underworld? I mean, it may not be possible for you to bring them up to where we are, but how do we utilize them in the ways that we need them? And then you kind of made a good point about the Crips and the Bloods, and then, you know, we have to be stronger than that. Well, definitely, because most of them are sellouts and they work for the feds, you know, let's be honest. And most of them, it's no longer them against each other. It's happening with inside the crew.
Exactly. Great question. So here's the answer. I'm gonna ask you a question. What are the tools that the Crip, remember, multidimensional reality now, negative, positive. So how do the Crips and the Bloods, the Gangster Disciples, or Growth and Development, as they've tried to rebrand themselves, Vice Lords, what's the tools that they use to recruit all of these guys?
It's two things.
The youth.
F and I.
I mean, finance and intellect.
So
No.
Mine is talking about fear and intimidation.
Right.
Oh.
And that's part of it. But the other part, money, status, materialism. Money, status, materialism, along with fear and intimidation, is how they recruit to the dark side.
Yes, sir.
So since we know that, we got it on the positive side, money, status, materialism, goddamn fear and intimidation as well, to the light side. Same concept. We filter out the ones who have no constitution. We work with the ones who really can be cultivated and molded into generals, lieutenants, so that they can now be put out there in the game. But you got to have money, status, and materialism, because they are believing that the only way that they can generate money, status, and materialism is by the evil deeds that's being promoted to them by the group that they have been fearing and being intimidated by. So those 5 things, money, status, materialism, fear, intimidation, what they use to recruit, we have to use also, just in a more clever, more subtle manner, and that will get them. We get them in the mix of the empowerment regimen, and now we show them how, if you want to be a gangster, you become an intellectual gangster, a righteous gangster for the upliftment, the liberation, advancement, empowerment, advancement of our people. That's how you're going to do that. And you're not going to and you ain't going to do it no other way, because you ain't going to sit and philosophize with no Negro who is moving keys and try to talk to him from an ethical and moral standpoint. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And then just one more quick question. Did you say that you were turning 55 this year?
Yeah, November 17th.
Wow. Okay. I just kind of broke down the numbers, and I'm a numbers person like you. So
Hey, I want you to, because you do the astrology and the numerology.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm into all of that.
I need to talk to you because we got to talk. I got to get your number
Yes.
from, because I need.
I got your number. I'm gonna text you
Yeah,
because
text.
I definitely have another question that I can't put on this chat.
You need to become my goddamn oracle.
All right, brother Mike, you still having problems? He said he can't unmute, so I guess
I mute him, Tamani.
I didn't mute him. I don't have that. I sent him a message to unmute. I didn't mute him.
Well, try to unmute him. You can't unmute him.
No, I can only send a message asking him to unmute. I didn't mute him, so I can't unmute him.
You didn't mute him, so you can't. Mike, can you hear me?
I asked him to type it in the chat.
Damn, Mike, I want to hear your question.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, closing remarks, Brother Craig.
I just thank everybody as always. I'll be headed to Dallas tomorrow to pick up my painting. Keep on. Oh, I can't wait till I can just give you all the full details on this over the next few weeks. And we will be head setting into the HBCU Preservation Challenge when I pick this thing up tomorrow. And hey, man, February, like Naru said, it's about to be on and popping. Emancipation Day, campaign, all of that. Info on Big Mike in Shreveport. Okay. I'll get that to you, Brother Mike. You're talking about my colleague here in Shreveport. We're having to deal with some of these scallywags.
Is that the article that you sent, Brother Lloyd? Not
yeah.
Talking about?
And I think Mike did an interview today, so I got to check that out.
Okay.
I'll upload it to everybody.
Okay.
But I want to thank everybody, and we just stay on our grind. And I appreciate you, Sister Shan. And I've been looking, and literally I have been looking to connect with a sister who's connected to the astrology and the numerology, a legitimate, righteous sister that ain't so goddamn flighty and crazy. Because some of these motherfuckers be so, I mean, oh, your aura, hey man.
I keep it real just like you do. So I got your number from the other day. I'm gonna text you so that you have my number.
I appreciate you, Sister Shan.
All right. On that note, always remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely, always remember that nothing is more sacred than liberation, empowerment, freedom, and salvation of Black people. Because the Black people don't make it. I don't care how bad you are, you ain't gonna make it because you connected to Black people because you Black. So with that, you guys have a wonderful evening. God bless, and I'll be in touch. Y'all take care. Thank you. All right. Peace.